Good afternoon. Today we're going to explore the opportunities for sales for the average promotional products distributor in the world of not-for-profit organizations. And as we go through these slides, I want you to focus on the word profit. And we'll even show you how to take out not for out of that. But there are tremendous sales opportunities in the not-for-profit sector, both for awards and recognition products as well as all other items of the promotional products industry. But again, as you go through, please make sure that your focus is on the word profit, because you are going to see today how this is potentially a very profitable segment for those who sell award and recognition products as well as general promotional products. What is a not-for-profit? Simply put, formed for the purpose of serving public or mutual benefit. It is not here to accumulate profits for owners or investors. So the phrase not-for-profit, their job is not to accumulate wealth or profit. They are to serve the needs of the general public. There are a tremendous number of them, over 1.5 million tax-exempt organizations in the United States. Nearly a million of those are public charities, followed by other types, and then private foundations. So you have a whole wide range of organizations that come under the specter and the umbrella of not-for-profit organizations. They are divided into three groups: public charities, private foundations, and then the ubiquitous other not-for-profit organizations. So let's see how these are divided out. Certainly charities, well known: the American Red Cross, the Salvation Army, the YMCA. Foundations: the Kellogg Foundation, the Ford Foundation, Make-A-Wish, granting wishes for sick children. Social welfare or advocacy organizations, the ACLU, the NAACP, the National Rifle Association. Again, more here to advance or advocate positions for their members. Professional and trade organizations, the Chamber of Commerce, the American Medical Association, could be the American Dental Society, any groups that are here promoting the medical profession in general. The American Foreign Services Association. So again, these groups promote advocacy for a specific job task or job classification. Why are not-for-profits important? And again, they provide services. They are keepers of values. They're advocates to identify problems. And they are the keepers essentially of social capital in the United States. This is where social consciousness is found. I guess the phrase, it's somewhat of a maligning phrase, but the phrase do-gooders. But these are the folks that work in the not-for-profit section. You see the word volunteer, and that is the word that is probably most synonymous with not-for-profits, are the use of volunteers. Now, the tax code certainly has provisions in terms of defining what is a not-for-profit organization, as well as defining how they shall spend their money. In short, at the end of a fiscal year, not-for-profits are only allowed to retain a small amount of funds, which are essentially carryover funds to move the organization forward into the following year. And this is why, as you go through, you're going to see that not-for-profits do have abundances of capital from time to time that must be spent, and there is no better way to spend that capital than to recognize their volunteers. And as we go through these slides, you'll see how this comes into play specifically as we go towards the end of fiscal years. Okay, and right there the slide says, with the not-for-profit, any money that is left over after the organization has paid its bills is put back into the organization. All right, and obviously you have a tremendous amount of money being collected here. Okay, over of the 1.4 million non-for-profit organizations, more than 500,000 collected more than $25,000 in gross receipts. Again, they are employers of people across the United States. Not-for-profits accounting for 9% of all wages and salaries. Their share of gross domestic product was 5.4%. Public charities reporting over $1.41 trillion in revenues and $1.4 trillion in expenses. So here we see they're taking it in, but they're spending it. And this is where you're going to talk about what your opportunities are from the promotional product side with not-for-profits. So they are taking in, again, it's worth repeating, $1.41 trillion, and they're spending $1.4 trillion of that. Foundations gave $45.7 billion in 2010 to the not-for-profits. Individuals gave $211 billion, almost $212 billion in the year 2010. 12.3% of the funding necessary to support a not-for-profit comes from fundraising. And again, that is critical in terms of your support in the promotional products industry, because those fundraising activities, generally speaking, are where they will come to you for your help. We've already looked at something as simple as a golf outing being the #1 fundraiser for a not-for-profit, but there are a tremendous amount of fundraising activities that have to be done. And again, here you see 1/8 of the budget for a not-for-profit comes from their fundraising, and obviously as government grants and contributions like that begin to shrink, fundraising is going to become a much greater part of how not-for-profits raise their operating capital. Over a quarter of Americans over the age of 18 volunteered for a not-for-profit between the years 2009 and 2010. And here's the total amount spent, $291 billion, and includes donations from individuals and corporations. So we had seen individuals giving $211 billion, so that means corporations have given $79 billion. So it's a tremendous amount of money raised for not-for-profits in the year 2010. The value of volunteering, and again, you can't stress enough the fact that not-for-profits would not be able to exist without the efforts of their volunteers. The point that we make here in terms of recognizing folks is that when you are volunteering, you're going to feel a need to be recognized. And I don't mean to say that you would not volunteer again if you weren't recognized, but let's face it, if somebody doesn't acknowledge your service, somebody doesn't say thank you for your service, it's most likely you may not go back again. I mean, nobody likes to work for free, excepting for the fact that somebody acknowledges the fact that they're volunteering and they're giving of their time with no paid compensation. So this is where the use of awards becomes very, very, very important in terms of recognizing those volunteers. Generation Xers, more and more of the Gen X crowd are becoming volunteers. I mean, as the last sentence says, Gen X members have more than doubled their volunteer rates between '89 and present. So again, this is the greatest growth in the public sector. This is the greatest growth in not-for-profits, are those in Gen X becoming volunteers. Take a moment just to look here and look at the volunteerism by age group rates and how where this is trended. So it seems to peak between the ages of 35 and 44. So that is where people are usually at the greatest opportunity for them to be volunteers, and then obviously declining in the later years of life. Again, can't say it any plainer. Volunteers should always be recognized for their contributions to an organization. And again, we're back to basic human needs. The need to be recognized and the need to be motivated, and that motivation is allowing you to continue your involvement with that not-for-profit group. Okay, only 51% of volunteers are satisfied with the recognition they receive. Imagine the impact of that statement on not-for-profits. Just a little over half of the people who are volunteering are satisfied with the way they're being recognized. So let's all of a sudden say that a large percentage of that 51% decides, I'm not going back next year. I wasn't recognized, I didn't feel appreciated, I'm not going back. Where does that leave the not-for-profit sector? Really, really, really out in the cold. You cannot afford to have 10, 15, 20% of your volunteers not come back. The volunteers are the lifeblood of your organization. So again, just some bullet points. You're increasing the productivity. You want to make sure that this volunteerism is enjoyable. You want to make them loyal. You want to make sure that they're going to come back year after year. Certainly there's also a cost of retention for the not-for-profit. So the more people that you can keep satisfied, you're sure they're loyal, they're going to be coming back year after year, is the less people you have to replace. Appreciation is a basic, fundamental human need. All of us, no matter what we do in life, no matter what we're endeavoring, what our chosen profession is, want to feel appreciated. And the more appreciated we feel, generally speaking, the harder it is that we'll work at a given task, and the more likely it is that we're going to stay at that task. And also, it's simply a factor of if 90% of the workforce is happy and motivated, you can bring that other 10% along. If it goes the other way and it's only 10% that are happy than motivated, that big wave here, that rising tide lifting all boats on the positive, that rising tide will crush all boats for the negative. Now, there have been some job cuts in the not-for-profit sector. I think we all have seen in this economy job cuts across every sector. But again, just to look at real numbers, the total number of not-for-profit employees has dropped about 4.2%. So again, not-for-profits are shedding employees, but not at the same rate and level as corporate America. But where does that bring an opportunity for you? Simply put, are you a solutions provider? And I think most of us in the promotional products industry understand the phrase solutions provider. So as we look at the fact that some not-for-profits are shedding jobs, what you must say to yourself is this an opportunity for me? As I become a volunteer in an organization, can I help them plan their golf outing? Can I help them plan their gala? Can I help them plan some fundraising event? And in helping them plan it, I'm helping my order book. So again, you are a solutions provider. So you're satisfying two needs here. You are a volunteer within the organization, and you're also helping them to plan these events. And in so doing, they're becoming a customer of yours. Why do they need volunteers? Frankly, they're running out of cash for people to do these type of functions. They're shedding jobs, as we said, 4.2%. So volunteer your time, help plan the events, and in so doing, you're driving sales toward your organization by being a solutions provider for a not-for-profit. There we go. We've talked about this several times. More than $3.5 billion raised annually playing golf. Golf events are the #1 fundraiser in North America, and I would assume that 95% of the charities and the not-for-profits you talk to would say, yes, a single golf event is my #1 fundraiser. Talk to anybody who's a member of a private club, and they're going to tell you it's almost impossible to play golf on a Monday or a Thursday because those course spots are dedicated to outings, and these outings are fundraiser outings. Some of the major golf course companies in North America actually have seminars for their golf pros, for their directors of food and beverage, for their directors of golf sales, to teach them how to better engage the community in using their courses for these type of fundraising events. The PGA itself has surpassed the $1 billion mark in gifts to charitable organizations. So again, you can see golf goes hand in hand. Golf is synonymous with fundraising. Not-for-profits. What did I ask you to think about? Take out the not for and tell me what's left. All right, this is pretty simple math, folks. You've got people who are volunteers who need to be recognized for their volunteerism. If you're not recognized somebody for their volunteerism, the chances are they're not coming back to that organization. And again, this may not be a $200 vase. It could be something as simple as a $15 certificate, a $5 certificate, but it's recognition nonetheless. And this is a tremendous opportunity that is often overlooked by the promotional products industry. Take away not for, and the only thing left on that page is profit.